Hi, this is John from Life Force Rejuvenation. What I have in store for you is nothing short of a miracle. This gentleman that I'm going to interview and bring on, his name is Gilbert, aka Peanut Navarrete. He was executed, shot in the back of the head, blew out half his brain, skull, all that stuff. And he lives. And when I first met him, it was nothing short of crazy cool golden aura around him. You could just feel it, just all over him. That's all I got to say, because you'll see it. Because the reason why I'm doing this is so people can see what a golden aura looks like. It's really badass. Um, and if you can't see it, no big deal. But if you can see it, you're awake. You're really awake. But without any further ado, this is the one you're really going to want to like and share and subscribe. This is going to be a fantastic journey. Hang on to your seats. His journey is going to be fantastic, not mine. This is all God's will. As long as I'm honest, open minded, and willingness, everything's going to be okay. You may hear some program talk because we're both in program. I met him in program, and he's a really fantastic dude. He's got a lot of spirit, a lot of angels and beings around him. It's so cool. I love him to death. I love him. I love him. I love him. That's all from me.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Gilbert Navarrete, aka Peanut, as John introduced myself earlier. Um, so, my story of my life is basically as a young child, I first started off. I started off a sportster. Never did I ever realize that I would end up in a gang and doing the stuff that I did. It was kind of hectic type of movement. I lived up north in Fresno area, Fresno County area, with my grandmother for some odd years, which was very small communities compared to Santa Maria, California, where I'm originally from. So at that point in life, I was into baseball, basketball, swimming, all that other good stuff that the majority of people do. And then I found myself moving back to Santa Maria at the age of 13, 14 years old. So as I moved back to Santa Maria, I realized that the majority of the people that I grew up with as children, they were into gang life, running amok, doing their own thing, and stuff like that. Little did I know that I would end up in that level of life. Never once as a young child, when you went to school and they asked you, what do you want to be when you grow up, that I ever thought that I would want to be a gang member involved in institutional life, going to juvenile hall, doing lifestyles like that. And not only that, I eventually fell into the drug use in my life, which made my happy spirit go from happy spirit to negative. You know, there wasn't a time that didn't go by that I didn't think about maybe if I wouldn't have done drugs, what I would have been. I've always considered myself an entrepreneur, but I chose the wrong choices in life. There's a saying that I like to say, there's always a straight road and it's a 101 south. And you always used to live that. I always used to go south, but never did I think I would ever end up in a wheelchair going south. And that'll come here in a point in later on in the story. So as I grew up and I did my thing, I grew up in a lower lower community where I sat back and basically lived my life. Um, I kind of did the chameleon thing. You blend into where you gotta be. And so at that point in life, a majority of my group of my friends, they were into gang banging, hanging out, doing stuff like that. And like I was telling John and stuff, I kind of vegetated onto that lifestyle, to where I started doing the same thing. I started at a very young age, started to use cocaine for one, you know. Of course, as a minor, and at that age in the 90s, we were into smoking marijuana and whatnot. But that marijuana opened the door to a whole farm of bingo, is what I like to call it, is or yeah. So anyways, sorry, sometimes I get a little bit confused, but old McDonald is what I was looking for. So old McDonald had a farm on our block, and he had everything from drugs, marijuana, cocaine, methamphetamines, all that stuff. So that basically what opened the door is me smoking marijuana opened it to cocaine use and all the negativity parts of life, you know. And I gravitated onto that part of life for almost 30 years, you know. And at the age of 15 is when I first got my first case and ended up institutionalized in juvenile hall because I ended up beating up a guy. And it's not really my lifestyle that I chose to be angry person, you know. I have a strong aura of positivity, happiness, and whatnot. But at that point in time, as I as I kept on putting those drugs into my body, I seen that positive aura disappearing from my life. You know, it was turning from a brightest day in the world to like one of the overcast in the Central Coast. You know, where it's cloudy, nobody wants to do anything. You just want to sit around and be like Eeyore on Winnie the Pooh. You know, I mean, and at that point in time, my mother started noticing faulty moves about me and faulty stuff about me to where I was staying out late at night and not coming home till 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And so at that point in time, my mother asked me what I was up to, and I told her nothing, that I was up to just making rap music, you know, which was a total lie, you know. I was into doing a whole lot of stuff that was negative, but I just didn't want to bring it to my mom attention. So at that point in time, I had a couple friends who had a CD come out, and I thought that was the biggest point in my life to where I was able to say, okay, now I got money in my pocket from doing negative things, but not only that, I can present money to my mom and tell her that I'm on this rap CD. So eventually, that's what happened. I walked up to my mom with $800. I handed her $800, and she looked at me and shook her head. She snatched the backpack out of my hand, and at that point in time is when she found out that her son had become from leaving the lifestyle of playing baseball, basketball, and all this other good stuff to becoming a negative drug dealer on the streets, you know. I'm not glorifying or saying that I was into it heavily, but it's basically the lifestyle that I chose to live, you know.
And your music.
And my music, you know. I did publicize a lot of music. I did a couple of rap songs and CDs.
When you were a kid, when you played music.
Oh, yeah. Also, leaving the band area, you know, playing drums, trumpet, saxophone, clarinet, everything. I don't really look like that type of guy that would sit back and blow on a clarinet, but I was playing it like if I was a leprechaun, you know. It was kind of cool. It was kind of fun, and at the same time, it gave me that swagma of being able to be around the females that I gravitated to as well, you know. Um, Not only that, I mean, at that point in time in my life, I became a gang member. I committed crimes. I ended up institutionalized, and after being institutionalized for a gratitude of time, that became also a part of my lifestyle. You know, where I didn't want to do nothing more but be institutionalized. I knew no longer outside world. My world was behind bars. You know, from juvenile hall to county jail, straight to prison, and being in prison, that's a whole different world. You know, if you've never been to prison, thank God. I'm glad for you guys. But me, myself, when I went to prison, it was like owning my own mansion, you know? I was on a place where there was people that I could relate to, you know? And I spent majority of my time in prison. I have 4 beautiful kids who grew up. I have a 22-year-old who basically knew her dad 3 years of her 22 years of life, you know? And there's not a day that doesn't go by that we don't sit back and graduate together, and we sit back and we talk and whatnot. And you know, just by talking to her, she asks me questions, and so I break down and tell her these questions, you know. And her keep on pushing on that actually got me to sit back and decide to sit back and write a book, you know, which should be coming out hopefully by July. You know, it's called Book of a Crook. It's my bibliography story about myself. So I'm kind of grateful that John asked me to come over and kind of share my story with you guys. You know, hopefully this stuff will go viral. Hopefully we'll get it to bump up, because John is a very positive guy. He's a really good guy. There's not a day that doesn't go by that I don't get a smile out of John, you know. And there's not too many people that can make me smile, you know. So with that being said, you know, I went and did my lifestyle in prison. And then about 4 to 5 years ago, I decided, you know, I'm 43 years old. I'm 40 years old. I'm done with the lifestyle of being a gang member, being involved in institutional life, and doing negative things in life. I want to try to do something positive, not only for me, but for the community that I took so much from. And at that point in time, I sat back with a couple of my friends that were in A, and I started to gravitate to that part of life, you know. And that's where I found a spiritual awakening in myself. So as I joined the NA groups, I found a spiritual awakening in myself, you know, that I was a better person off drugs, you know. So as I entered the rooms of NA, at first I was questionable. Like, why are these people so happy? Why do they sit around laughing and joking when they're not doing nothing but sitting in the room? And so at first I went in there, and I'm a real magnetory type of guy, you know, to where you magnetate to. And I knew a lot of people that were in there, so I felt a little comfortable at the same time uncomfortable, because you were sitting there and you would release like your inner scabs that you would have built up, you know, that would keep you from living that life that you're supposed to live, that life that your higher power sat back and blessed you with, you know. And me, I kind of clouded it up with smoke, you know, from smoking weed to smoking meth to doing other things, you know. It was kind of clouded, so I didn't visualize that part of life, you know. It was a great thing when I entered the NA rooms, because I knew so many people that I felt really comfortable that I was able to express my feelings on how I felt about certain things, you know. At the same time, at the same time, um, I sat back, and at that point in time, I became clean for 18 months, and it was the last time since today, about 3.5, 4 years ago. It's been the last time that I've ever seen a prison wall again. You know, I haven't been back to prison since almost um, 2016. So that point in time, I was kind of legit. I was kind of cool. I thought I had found the best way of life, and it took just one simple thing to where I sat back and I realized, okay, maybe this is not the thing for me. You know, other people that were nitpicking, doing stuff that I ain't used to doing, like being told what to do or bossed around, was never my style. You know, I was always that El Chapo is what they like to call. But the only thing I was ever short on is paying people back their money. And with that being said, you know, it was kind of fun and whatnot. We joked around. I learned a lot of stuff about life. Not only life, I learned a lot of stuff about myself, which I kept in a tool bag, which was right here on the top of my head, you know. Um, and so basically, after being in NA, dealing with NA life on life's terms, I ended up relapsing, going back out and doing drugs. At that point in time, I didn't care about nothing. I didn't think nobody cared about me. I also didn't care about myself. I didn't care about my kids. I didn't care about my higher power or anything, you know. I figured, why not go back to the lifestyle that I'm used to, you know, grinding, running the streets, making the money, doing all that funny stuff. Um, and with that being said, I was out on the streets again, and my mom gradually took me back into her home for one time, and so I went into her room, and there was only one rule that she had. Her only one rule was that I don't bring drugs into her house. I don't come in with weapons to her house, and definitely do not do drugs in those house. While me being a baseball player knew that those balls were getting thrown at me pretty fast, and I swung and I swung and I swung at them, but each one of them got a strike, if you guys know what I mean, you know. So I found myself inside my mother's house smoking drugs, carrying guns, doing faulty shit, you know, that I shouldn't have been doing. Sorry about the cuss word. Um, so I found myself doing faulty stuff, you know, and so my mom asked me to leave her house, which I did, you know, of course. And at the time, the coronavirus had just kicked in, you know. It was kind of like, what's this coronavirus? I don't worry about coronavirus. My mom was like, you got to be careful. There's this disease called coronavirus, COVID-19, and I'm all, mom, I don't worry about coronavirus because I drink Modelo, you know,
Don't say COVID.
joking around and whatnot. And so, anyways, long story short, my mom asked me to leave her house at the time in which I did, you know. And so I left the house, and I went out and did what I did. I went back to my old lifestyle, running amok with my friends, doing the drugs and whatnot. And I stayed out in the streets for about maybe a year and a half, just living around the neighborhood, um, camping out on the thing, doing the Santa Maria homeless thing. You know, it was kind of a cool thing. I met a lot of different people of different lifestyles, but I also found myself in a predicament. So last year, 2020, December, December 12th to be actual, I was minding my own business, me and a friend. She was out doing her yoga thing, getting in touch with her thing, whatever, her stretching thing and whatnot. I mean, Namaste is what it's called. She was doing that yoga stuff and Namaste and all that other stuff.
Namaste.
What is it?
Namaste.
Namaste. Yeah, I thought it was Namaste. I was like, where are you gonna stay at? You gonna stay right here in the patio? But neither here nor there. It was kind of cool. Um, I was able to sit back and learn a lot of stuff about spirituality and stuff like that. About the Namaste and Namaste or however you pronounce it. I'm not sure, but I was learning a lot about myself there as well. And then December 12th, I found myself sitting at at Starbucks here on the north side of town, um, and we were minding our own business. This 18-year-old youngster walks up and starts flossing on the girl that I was friends with. He starts making announcements and saying faulty things to her, and she turns and looks at me and says, "Can you tell him something, please?" And I asked him to mind his own business. And at that point in time, I didn't know the minor was going to pull out a gun, but he ended up pulling out a 9 millimeter. And we looked at him. My friend got up, she ran inside Starbucks, had the Starbucks employees call the cops. At that point in time, he took off running around. He took off walking around the corner of the thing, which we thought he had totally left. So me and my friend decided to get up and walk away from the whole scene and situation. So as we did, we walked around Best Western Hotel here in Santa Maria, California. And it's kind of a walkway that we walked on. And as we walked down the sidewalk down the street, she taps me on the shoulder while I'm listening to headphones. And I look at her and I said, "Yeah, what's the problem? What's going on?" And she tells me, "The guy's behind us with the gun." And I said, "Well, go, 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 go running." And at that point in time, she did not want to go running. She said, "I'm not going to leave your back. I'm not going to leave your side. I'm going to stand right here with you. And I was like, "Go, go, go. Please go, go get help." And so she didn't want to. I realized that the guy, he pulled out a gun. He pointed the gun right at us, and I went to go push her out of the way. And at that point in time, I caught a 9 millimeter bullet to the back of the head. As you can see, I just barely got a plate put in my head, but my head was really indented. It was really different. As you can see right here, I got stitches. I got staples that go across my skull. They go all the way to the point of right here. So this whole point of my skull was missing. That was also a spiritual awakening for me. Because I was in a coma for 3 weeks, almost on my deathbed. My head was swollen out to here. I didn't really think, my family didn't really think I was going to make it in life. And after I seen the pictures, I was like, how in the heck did I make this point in life? And as I sat back realizing what was going on, I had many of my friends sit back and said, God has a reason for your life. There's a reason that you're still alive. And I was like, I was trying to figure that out. And then slowly but surely, I started going back to NA and doing the NA thing. And that's where God gave me that plan in life. He gave me the roadmap in life. And that roadmap was John. He was able to help me figure stuff out. He said I had a very bright aura, which I kind of knew about. I knew about auras and whatnot, but John kind of basically opened up that bigger door for me. He started teaching me things, started giving me medallions, which I'm going to talk to him about here in a minute because the medallion is really special to me. And for some reason, I don't know why, the little thing came out of the thing, the little round plastic thing. So maybe me and John are going to try to work on that, getting it fixed. But just the spirituality part of it was a great part of everything that goes on now. I'm starting to learn a lot more about myself by following John on his channels and links that he shoots me. So if you guys are thinking about giving this thing a chance, you might want to let doors and windows open before you decide to shut them down. It was always taught to me, leave an open door to life. And basically the Bible shares about these auras and spirituality and stuff like that. I'm not going to get spiritual on it or anything like that, but just my point in life, it's been so much happier ever since I met John. We joke around. We live two different lifestyles. But even though we live those different lifestyles, John has been one of the biggest assets in my life, to where he's helped me realize that there's more to life than the life that I was living, you know? And I'm very blessed to have a friend like John. So if you guys get a chance to keep him as a friend, I guarantee you that you guys won't lose out on a friendship. He's a great guy.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Huh?
Like this video, share it, and subscribe.
Yeah, so if you guys like this here, you know, share it and subscribe. I was pleasured and honored when John asked me to come and share on his thing. There's not too many people that do that ain't in the lifestyle that I used to live. But if you guys can share this and help us go viral, would be very grateful, you know. And
Tell
also,
about your merchandise.
and also, I have a webpage that's West Prince 805 Classics, where I'm selling shirts and whatnot to help me produce and help me publish my book that I'm coming out with here pretty soon. You know, I want that to go big too as well. You know,
Tell them about your YouTube or your Facebook.
so on my Facebook, you guys can always follow me or friend request me on Facebook. It's under Gilbert Navarrete. That's Navarrette. You guys can always request me and see how I'm doing. And I'll always link up with you guys if there's anything you want to know or follow up on.
And your music.
And my music as well. You can find that on that page as well. You know, there's a lot of positive people on my page as well. If you guys ever need hands, we're always there. We're like bounce house of friends, where we just want to bounce around and have fun and share our experience, strengths, and hopes, you know. And with that being said, I thank John very much for having me on his YouTube channel today.
And I just want to say one thing. If you have a drug problem, NA is the way. It is totally the way. We can help you. We will love you until you can love yourself. Absolutely 100%.
100. Pop socket in the house.
Oh, there it is, folks.